Well, not just Caitlin, but our team. That's just, I think there's just, the thing with Minnesota the other night was just, they're a veteran team that's been through these games and are experienced for the playoffs. And there's just an emotional stability that they had that we don't have yet. We can't let missed shots, and we can't let officials and, when things aren't going our way, we can't let that affect us. So across the board, our team is we just have to have a little bit more of that emotional stability.
We'll go Lou, and then we'll go Christine.
You have said repeatedly that you'd like to be 1% better every day, every game, and everything. Are you seeing it, and how do you measure it? I mean, it's really a phrase, but I mean, when you talk about 1%, it's hard to, determine.
Yeah, probably in our last 3 games, I've really, going back, teams are averaging 90 points on us right now. The last 3 games, 90 points. That's just way too many. The first 3 games the first 2 games before we played Minnesota, right out of the Olympic break, I think we were giving up 82, and then after the Minnesota game, it was only 80 points. And right now, these last 3 games for us, 90 points is just way too many. We've not been able to have the work that we were doing early on the defensive end as it relates to just our defensive shell and just keeping those habits top of mind, just the movement. Ball moves, you move. 2-9 help, if you have to go over and help in that 2-9, then you got to have sync help. And we're not doing that as well or as efficient as we were doing, and that's where we have to on that end of the floor, which is the end of the floor that I think we have to be better at to win games moving forward, we have not. And so we've addressed it. It's just hard with these games every other day to try to work on five-man shell.
Go Christine, then Scott.
Christy, is there a motivation issue or a challenge once a team clinches, especially a young team? Of course you want to win games. Of course they want to play well. I mean, that goes without saying. But is there a bit of a challenge in just keeping up and every game knowing you're going to at least have 2 playoff games? Not that you didn't want to clinch, but is it a bit of a different feeling to keep everyone going and to motivate, especially as you just described, the giving up the points that they are kind of after clinching, right?
Yeah. I think that's our challenge, right? It's this young team who clinched earlier than expected. And for me, I've reached out to, the minute we clinched, I called Lynn. I was like, how do I move forward right now? This is different. I speak to Dan Hughes a lot, just trying to get information, get advice on how to move forward with 2 weeks left in the season, You just want to make sure that you're honing skills, you're keeping the momentum. We're shooting the ball well. We've got to make sure we're getting all those shots up, game shots. But we're going to find time to work on our defense, that's for sure, especially if we can't find a way to do a better job of getting stops.
Scott.
Playing off the defense, I was going to ask you, how, without the practice time, how are you instilling that? Is it conversations, it's film sessions, and does it start with individuals owning their matchup, and then from there getting on the same page as a team?
Yeah, you start with the team, and just because that's just how we have to keep moving forward to get wins. It's all about our team, but there's individual moving pieces that create certain things. So if we're not in our spot when someone if there's dribble penetration and we're not at the nail where we're supposed to be, and they see that lane, and then now, one of our posts have to pull up and then they're dumping down, or we're coming over from the weak side. If we're a little bit late, which I think that's just, for me, is what I've seen. We're just a little bit late across the board on everything and not as sharp as we were early. But it's just like, you're moving on a string with each other. And that just wasn't there in the last 3 games especially.
Go Mike.
Yeah, Coach, I want to ask you about Kelsey, and obviously she had a tremendous loss personally in her life this year, not just as a coach, but just as a person, or maybe even kind of a surrogate mom that coaches can be. How have you sort of helped her on that? She's somebody who kind of keeps a lot to herself,
Yep.
and you know that because you've coached her for now 2 years, but what are the ways you've kind of, just sort of been there for her, if you will?
Yeah. Kels is, she is a really, she's just, to herself. She's, she doesn't ever let you know how she's really feeling. She wears that completely. She can be having a really bad day, and I don't know about it or find out about it till later. And that breaks my heart, that she's, holding that in. But she's fighting for something bigger right now. And she has said that, it's about her dad and doing everything to please him. And, when everything happened, right, when he passed, that was what she had talked about and just stayed consistent with, the text messages and the phone calls and the cards and just, always checking in. She's always going to say she's okay, but just want to always make sure she knows that we are here for her anytime, day or night, if she needs anything.
Yeah, I think it's obviously definitely sad anytime you see anybody go down with an injury, especially people that you came into this league with, whether it was Cam, whether it was Angel, and especially Angel. Like, you want to see her finish out this year. Obviously, she's had a historic year and she's done some incredible things. And for me, like, getting to play against her, like, her motor is up there, if not the best in the league. Like, she just doesn't stop working. So, congratulations to her. I thought she had a tremendous year, and I thought she came to the league and really did what she's done well her entire career as long as I've known her. So it's definitely devastating. That's never anything you want to see from a player. And then obviously our rookie class has kind of been hit with a few more injuries than you would have liked to see. And I think, I don't know, I mean, for myself, I think just some of those things you can't avoid, especially in their two instances. Obviously, I don't know the specific details, but that's kind of what comes with basketball at times. So, it's sad for them, but I think at the same time for myself is just continue to take care of your body, take care of yourself. It becomes a long season, especially when you're playing games with one day in between. Like, you really have to prioritize that. But like I said, some of those things are just unavoidable, and it's sad to see.
We'll go Scott, then we'll go Christine.
Biggest thing Christy was emphasizing was obviously defense. You guys have given up 93 points over the last 3. Mm-hmm. That said, what corrections do you want to see start today?
Yeah, obviously we haven't really been able to get in the gym and practice just because of the schedule, and like you've had one day in between, you're just basically walking through stuff. So I think it's something we all know we're capable of. It's not something you need to go into the gym and drill. Yeah, sure, that would probably help, but at the same time, like, we did it to start the second half of this season. So I think it's just getting back to that, all moving, all working as one unit. And we had glimpses where we have had some good defensive possessions, but it hasn't been to the point where it's going to help us win against these really good teams in this league. So I think continuing to find ways to have great defense for 4 quarters. When we hold teams under that, I think it's 80-84 area, we have a lot of success. So I think that's going to be a huge key tonight as well.
We'll go Christine, then we'll go Mike.
Caitlin, I asked Christy about this. Once you've clinched, is it a little hard for a team, I think it's kind of human nature, to then have to get back up for playing for, of course, pride. You want to win games, of course you do. You want to hit the shots, but I think it's human nature to kind of have a little bit of a lull, or potentially, like, what are we working towards? Is that something, what am I doing? Sorry. Is that something that you think about? Is that not true at all for you? I'm just kind of curious about how you think about that. Thanks.
I think for myself as a competitor, like, for me, like, I approach these games in the same exact manner that I approach every single game. I think if we came down the stretch and, like, it came down to the last 2 games or game, I think you would definitely feel the pressure a little bit more. Obviously, that weight is a little bit off your shoulders, and I think that's just very natural, but I don't think it in any regard should, allow us to let up. And if that is the case, I think that's disappointing on our half. But I don't think that is the case. I think we come in here and we've been working the same. I think we've just had lapses in especially our defense, and I don't know if that's from we're tired or we're just not as crisp as we were out of the break. I think our offense has still been really good. I think it's just like continuing to find a way to have 4 quarters that are really, really good and put that together, and I think tonight's a really good opportunity to do that. But I don't know, I think for our team is still very motivated and very excited. I think everybody's really excited. I think, we know we're in the playoffs, like, that should excite you and want you to play even better and, continue to improve as we, approach that part of the season as well.
Yeah, Mike, then we'll finish up with Lou.
Yeah, Caitlin, this rookie group, yourself, Angel, at the top of it, you guys haven't just broken rookie records. There's WNBA records you've broken. And I wonder if you think the fact that your generation, if you will, grew up watching this league, maybe came into this league more prepared than players 10 or 20 years ago, helped you be able to be ready to play at such a high level immediately, or just maybe some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good question. I mean, obviously, a lot of people in this rookie class grew up, like, just loving this league, and when you hear them speak, they speak of a lot of memories through their childhood were spent, at a WNBA game, or they have a specific player that they love. So I think the more of that we can have from the younger generation, the better it is going to be for the league. And those stories are special too. Like, it's cool for all of us to be able to come in here and kind of live out our dream. I don't know if it necessarily makes you more prepared. Maybe from the standpoint of, how good this league is, and how prepared you have to be to come in this league and try to make an impact. I think a lot of us that came into the league this year, like, we were fans, like, we watched, like, we always had the TV on and we watched, and I'm not sure that's always the case of players coming into this league. So I think the more that can continue to happen, the better it's going to be, and I think you're definitely going to see that. And obviously, I think it helps the more coverage and, the more national media that this league gets, whether we're playing on ESPN, whether we're playing on CBS, ABC, whatever it is, that makes it more accessible to a lot of people all around the country. So I think that certainly helps as well. But I think that's going to see something you continue to see, these young players that come into the league and really have idolized whoever it is in this league growing up, or idolized a specific team, or grew up in a town where they had a WNBA team, and that was, a very impactful part of their young life.
Finish up with Lou.
I can't remember where I read this, but it was a passing comment in some story that I came across on the internet, but it mentioned that you was talking about how you actually thrive on and enjoy pressure. And the way this season has played out, there's been tremendous spotlight on you from day one. And I wonder, do you ever step back from that and think about, gee, I wonder what real life would be like, or regular life would be?
I mean, you can always wonder. I feel like my life has definitely changed really fast, but at the same time, like, I feel like I've tried to stay very much the same person that I was when I stepped on campus at Iowa my freshman year, when life probably looked a lot different for me from the standpoint of, I probably wasn't the national or global star that people say I am today, but, I was kind of just, a homegrown kid that wanted to go there and kind of do something different, and had a lot of belief in myself and a lot of confidence in myself. And I feel like I've tried to carry myself in the same exact manner, and I have had a lot of people around me that have continued to, keep my circle tight, and, they don't view me in that way that a lot of people in this world do, and that's something I definitely appreciate. But I think for myself, like, as an extreme competitor, like, if you don't have that pressure, you're probably doing something wrong. There's probably, like, the games probably don't matter as much, or I don't know, like, you're probably not competing at the highest level. So I think for myself, that pressure is something I've become used to, and at times you can definitely feel it, but I think just continue to rise, and I wouldn't want it any other way. Like, obviously coming into this league, and there was a lot of expectations about how I was going to perform this year, and, obviously some moments were really, really great, and then there was moments that I had to learn through and grow through that weren't as great for myself, and I didn't enjoy as much, but I think that's allowed me to find some more success in the second half of the season, and is going to, help me continue to grow, especially going into this offseason in my second year too. But I feel like I've definitely tried to remain the same exact person that I was, even last year or 4 years, 5 years ago. So.